it's Woody and it is a beautiful day on the range, and today is a great day because we have a new scope to review, and it's the new ZeroTech 1-8 Thrive HD. This is a scope that I've been anticipating for a while, and I'm stoked to have it now and to have it on the range for the very first time. In this video we are going to zero it in, and during that time we're going to talk about the specs of it, and then as I get more shooting done with it, I'm going to talk about my thoughts and opinions on it as I get used to it and get a few rounds down range behind it. But stay tuned because we have a very exciting giveaway. ZeroTech have very graciously given us one of these new 1-8 Lpvos for one of you viewers. So stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how to get your name in the hat for one of those. I'm bore sighting now, so I've just separated the upper and the lower and taken the bolt out so I can see all the way through the bore. It's a capped windage and elevation, which I think is very appropriate for an Lpvo. While I'm getting myself prepared to fire my first few shots and get this scope zeroed in, I already did the bore sighting, by the way. Let's just cover some of the basic data. So it's a 1-8, so Lpvo obviously. It has a 24mm objective lens and a 30mm tube. I'm going to be shooting it with the ammo that I hunt with, which is the Fiocchi EPN 50 grains. They are available in two different reticles. There's a PHR4 and then the G4, which is a very Euro style reticle, that G4, but I've got the PHR4 on this one. So I'm going to fire some shots now and then we'll cover some more tech as we get going. So I found myself on paper, but what I might do to get a crispiest zero I can is I might steal the bipod off my 308 and set up on the bench and try and get a tight grip and just get a nicer zero as I possibly can. Set up on the bipod so I can get a really stable position, have as little human input as possible when I'm trying to really dial in this zero. I forgot my rear bag at home, so I'm just using the barricade bag. It looks a bit funny, but it does work. So I'm just going to tighten that group up and then confirm zero, and then we'll be good to go to do a bit of shooting practice. Alright, that's clear and safe, so let's do a quick 100-meter walk and just have a look at that group. Alright, that is a tight group. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera there, but that is definitely a half MOA group at 100 meters. I am happy with that. I'm happy to call that zero. That is tidy. Now we're just going to do some shooting practice and just have a go in a few different situations and scenarios and see how this optic goes. Like I mentioned before, I've opted for the PHR4 reticle. It's a super clean reticle. It's essentially segmented crosshairs, so you got the 4 lines with a really crisp dot in the middle. It's also illuminated, which is really cool. In darker environments, you'll be able to illuminate that, so you're not going to be losing your really dark crosshairs in a dark environment. Being a Thrive HD, it does have really clear glass. That light transmission is super critical. I'm really enjoying it because we're going from really bright conditions to cloudy conditions, going back and forth, and it's not affecting me in what I'm doing at all. Let's go through a couple more of the specifications of the scope. So it has 90 MOA of windage and elevation adjustment. It's IPX7 rated, so it's waterproof. That rating gives it water submersion in up to 1 meter of water for I think 30 minutes from memory. The lenses are fully multi-coated, which means it's really going to help against that fogging up. Does help with a little bit of light transmission in unclear conditions too. It's very pleasant to look through. It's a very clear optic, which means your eyes aren't having to work to get a good sight picture downrange. You'll see that I've chosen to pair this with a secondary optic, and I've mounted on an offset mount the Thrive HD 3 MOA red dot. Now, some of you will be saying, Woody, when you've got an optic, a primary optic that goes down to 1 power, what do you need a red dot for? And there's a couple of reasons, right? This optic's zeroed at 100, which is great for pretty much everything. This optic's zeroed at 25. So imagine a scenario where something runs in at close range. You don't have to think, you don't have to jump behind a scope and get a sight picture. You can just cant over, put the dot on and squeeze the trigger. And also likewise, this is my second point, if I'm engaging far targets on 8 power, or if I'm even just doing observing targets on 8 power, and something unexpected runs in at close range, I don't have to then take my hands away from their firing position to change the power of the optic and then acquire a target. I can literally, without removing my hands, roll over and engage. It has front and rear flip-up caps, which is a really nice touch. They're aluminium as well, and in the same black anodizing as the rest of the scope, so it ties it all together really well, and I feel like that will offer great protection to the lenses. So I feel like I've done enough reciting of the technical specs of this scope, so now I'm just going to cut into some shooting practice. So I've just set up some steel targets, thanks to Accurate Target Gear. They're Australian made targets, and they're so easy. Literally just hammer in the stake and hang it. There's no complex frame setup or anything like that. I'm loving it. So I've set one up at 25 and 100, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay rounds down through the primary optic at 100 meters and then work on my transition to my secondary optic and engage the target at 25 meters. And I'm just going to practice those transitions for a bit. Okay, final thoughts. This is a good scope. I haven't really found anything to complain about, so that's good. I had the ZeroTech Vengeance 1-6, which was their first Lpvo, and still current, and that's a good scope too. And I've always wondered how much better having a 1-8 would be, and it's great. 1-6 is still a great scope, but just having that extra couple of points of magnification, getting into the 8 power. I've really enjoyed shooting this scope. It's not too heavy. I think it suits this style of gun really well. I think, you know, your faster guns, like your pump guns and lever guns and that sort of thing, a 1-8 super cool on. But still good on bolt guns and hunting guns. I was on a hunting trip last year with the founder of ZeroTech, Chris Watkins, and he was running a prototype 1-8 on his bolt gun, and he did extremely well with that, which was super cool to see. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, one of you have the chance to win the new ZeroTech Thrive HD 1-8 for absolutely free, and all you have to do is 2 things. Number 1, leave a comment on this video so that I know that you're entering, and number 2, there's a link in the video description. It's a sign up link. That way I get your email address so I can let you know if you're the winner. So all you have to do is those 2 things. Comment on this video, click on the link and put in your details, and you are in the running to get yourselves one of these for absolutely free. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments section, and I'll see you on the next video.